Kani.
The very first family that we scripts and Latin. It's available in a single heavy weight. To add to this family, we released the Balu. This year was Jenny. You guys, I think, have seen presentation. You've seen the presentation by.
Good evening, everyone. Full time into middleware stuff and so many stuff done so far, and the Rakar and Yanxia. Even with that, you can basically, if you add some dictionary plugins, it renders. Only thing is they need to enable that in the Adobe software level. Okay, so the next interesting tool which I'm working is basically a dictionary manager. Now, if you look at a dictionary, like you don't have to insert all your words into the dictionary. So we are coming up with something called as like a dictionary which stores the characters in a independent encoding format. So it's a different encoding format, which I call this as a grid code point, where it basically can be converted to any encodings, Unicode. So in Sri Lanka, even though like we say Unicode is there, but still most of the newspapers and most of the typography, typing, everything happens in a non-legacy 8-bit font. So this supports all the encoding. So basically what happens is, like if you look at a base, so you basically add only the base words, and you have the modifier of that word, which basically using that grid point and some kind of a algorithm, automatically it renders that one. So on the fly, basically the characters are generated, or the words are generated. So using this technology, and with this algorithm, so I'm building another tool which is a proofreader. So even though I call this as a proofreader, it currently does only two functionality. One is the Unicode sequence checker. So sometimes you make mistakes in Unicode. So it basically identifies the sequence of the Unicode, and also it does spell checking. Apart from spell checking, it checks nana nala, right? So in Tamil or Sinhala, you have three different types of na. So it basically, if you make a mistake on that, it easily identifies that one. It asks for suggestion. It is not intelligent enough, but it asks for suggestions whether which one is correct, and then you identify, okay, this one is correct, and you substitute that. So also it does hyphenation, and so the future work what we are currently working on is converting on the fly from different encoding, and also grammar, text to speech. And this is something interesting. The thing is, the tool is what do you call external tool, which can be basically used to basically spell check or proofread InDesign, Excel or Word. It works outside that particular software, and basically it injects and basically does the spell checking or grammar checking or whatever the proofreading part. So, and also I'm currently working on this, so I'm also into IoT. So currently working on a very lightweight work, so it's part of the work, some other stuff like that.
Global network of ad agencies, audience, great good to see them. The visual talk and give it a certain feel. For example, this is what we have done. for Jetwing hotels. So this was about people, to get people to come and enjoy Negombo, and since it's on this concept of the mysteries of Negombo. So we could use a type like this and also treat the type in a way like this, where, you know, when it's talking about things that you have not discovered, you can kind of hide the type in the layout itself halfway through, or when it's talking about the vibrancy of it, of actually the Negombo was the place where the Indian warriors used to come and kind of have a party. So when we discovered that, we created an ad like this. So the first way that you can use type is to convey in the layout through a different style of type itself. So that's a vacancy that we did when we asked for a Tamil copywriter to join us, where we said, you know, the Tamil use the type as if, you know, the Tamil work needed to be made sense, and through this then we asked for somebody who knew Tamil to come and join us and help us in understanding and doing work in Tamil. But you can actually push type and use type in visual communication much better. So that's what I'm going to show you. For example, you know, you can use type itself to communicate this. So this was for when SLT came out, the Messenger didn't have Sinhala keyboard facility. So, but then they came out with the ability to actually you be able to type in Sinhala and Tamil as well, and you don't have to be restricted to English. So we came up with this series of ads that showed you don't have to, you know, the English does not have to be a barrier, and then we've used the type itself to show that, okay, you need to be breaking free from this. And then we started doing things that are even more interesting. We can use type in retail and in fashion, and this is what we did. Circles and try this out and actually our clients. The next example is for the newspaper called Daily Mirror. Daily Mirror came and told us, okay, they need to increase their circulation. So we came up with a simple idea, because at Leo Bennett we also believe that you need to base your work on an idea so that people will remember it better. So the idea was, okay, why don't we communicate the entire thing, and for the ad to make sense, you actually have to hold it up to a physical mirror. And this is what we did. The first ad said, for clear information, look in the mirror. And actually saying that this is Daily Mirror. And then there was a whole series of ads like this, get it straight. We never distort the truth. Where I told different things that the newspaper does that makes it relevant for you to buy the newspaper, but in a way that only the Daily Mirror can communicate and wake up to reality. Daily updates, not weekend postmortems. And this was the time that the conflict was also on. So we had this one that says from military offense to forward defense, because it gave the variety of defense from analytical defense articles to sports. Then from interest rates to celebrity figures, because it also had the things about stars as well as the business sections. We dress up the pages and not the facts. The headline, hunting for corporate pursuits. And then we did some short enough to cover the subject. And where do morning news announcers get their morning news? So this is just a few of the ads that we did. It had a whole series of it, where it told about the features that the Daily Mirror had, and in a way that it was relevant only for the Daily Mirror and using the type. The next example is of how we use type to save lives, and this is the video for it.
In 2013, dengue, the deadly mosquito-borne fever, reached epidemic proportions in Sri Lanka. Infecting over 30,000 people, the disease had taken many lives, including those of young children. Maubima, an up-and-coming mass-market newspaper, saw an opportunity to make a difference and get more Sri Lankans to connect with its paper. But how could it do this? Newspapers are read in the morning and evening, the time the dengue mosquito strikes. This gave us an idea. By mixing citronella essence, a natural repellent, with ink, we could protect Maubima's readers by creating a newspaper where every letter of every word helped Sri Lankans stop dengue. Our campaign began with simple but striking posters that ran during National Dengue Week. Letters in Sinhala, the country's native language, were done in the style of the Maubima masthead. Each letter stopped a dengue mosquito from passing through. The posters were then printed using our innovative mosquito repellent ink and posted at bus stops, so anyone waiting for a bus wouldn't be bitten and wouldn't get dengue. On the final day of National Dengue Week, which was also World Health, mosquito repellent newspaper. And the results were phenomenal. Despite a bigger print run, increased sales 30%, connecting 300,000 more Sri Lankans, more than it ever expected. But its influence didn't fade. The paper was commended by over
placing its
Huffington Post on social, including one from Gates, cited as an example of how the print industry could revive itself, and publications around the world have shown a massive interest in copying.
And to hold on. Let me play it off the. Okay, sorry for the technical problem, it seems to be stuck. So basically what we did was we took the English alphabet and we combined it with the single alphabet, and the drama was going to be placed in this whole country called Asik land, and the new language that was created was this thing called Astok. So, which had an entire alphabet which we developed for it, and even the communication then started. No, it says Asik lante Asik භාෂාව ලොව පිළිගත් සම්මත භාෂාවක් වශයෙන් එක්සත් ජාතීන් විසින් ප්‍රකාශයට පත් කර ඇති බව සියලු ජනතාවට දැනුම් දෙමු. So once you start figuring out, then you then you can figure out how the language is written, and then we started doing the entire campaign communication using that. So actually the video will show the example of how we use social media and kind of pressurized, and the movement built, and finally actually the ban was lifted, and the amazing thing was that the actual president himself ended up coming to see the drama of Pusvedilla, who was about kind of taking a dig at the president himself. So my last slide is saying from Mr. Leo Burnett himself. Leo Burnett is the person who started this company. He has these sayings, and one of the sayings is, keep it simple, let's do the obvious thing, the common thing, but let's do it uncommonly well. And that's what I want to leave behind with you, that, use type, but use it in a way and in a fresh way to communicate to people that will be relevant in the problems that they have, or the marketing, or the business, or the social problems that they have, and have an idea that will help you to communicate it, and then craft it to using the type of type that you will be able to find out there and develop it. So all the best in whatever that you do.
Google Fonts. And I'm very happy to be sponsoring the Typo Day on behalf of Google this year. And I have a small presentation about the latest technology development in typography, which is the new variable fonts technology. And variable fonts is very exciting because it adds a new dynamism to typography. And so this simple video shows you the weight and the width of the skier typeface being varied as an animation. And this is also working not just for animation, but for typography. So this is an example of the Chrome browser, and you can see this slider allows me to adjust the weight and the width of the typeface dynamically on the web page. And this technology was unveiled at the recent A-Type-I conference in Poland. And on the A-Type-I YouTube channel, there is the video, the special OpenType session, which I think is running for nearly an hour and a half, that goes into detail about how it works. And for me, I was very satisfied to see this development. On a recent Monotype blog article, the history of this technology was discussed. And when I was a student around 15 years ago, there was a similar kind of technology called multiple master technology developed from Adobe. And it allowed families of fonts to be varied, with the fonts drawn in the corners and then filled in, as this illustration from the Monotype blog shows. And this technology was, in a way, a kind of back to the future kind of technology. In the past, typefaces had different designs for use at different sizes. And this is an example of the typeface Century. And so you can see on the left the 72-point intended design, and on the far right, the design intended for 4 points. So the variable fonts technology allows you to have a typeface that has these kinds of variations. And the Adobe Multiple Master technology was kind of taken out of circulation. When I was a student, there were still multiple master fonts that you could license, and multiple master features in programs like Adobe Illustrator. But as I was studying, those features and those fonts were discontinued. So I was very happy to see this kind of technology return. The OpenType variable fonts format is based on the Apple TrueType GX format, and that has a different basis. Instead of having fonts in the corners of the design space, you start with the regular design, and then you have deltas from that design to change the design in various directions. Again, this illustration from the Monotype blog. And this creates the possibility for very complex design spaces. This illustration is from the John Hudson Introduction to OpenType Variable Fonts that was published at the time of the ATypI announcement. And it shows a multi-dimensional space. It's kind of difficult for me to get my head around. So with this technology arriving, I was very happy to connect with David Burlow at the Font Bureau and now Type Network. And I commissioned from him 2 typefaces. The first typeface is Decovar. This typeface has broken down the Latin alphabet into very much, the components of the letter forms. So here you see a somewhat familiar alphabet where all of the components are in a straight way. And dragging the slider over the top, you can see those letter parts being varied to make a very decorative set of letter forms. And down here on the page, you can see that there are 4 kinds of skeletons that you can select. A regular skeleton, a outline skeleton, this kind of bent skeleton, and a dashed skeleton. And then along the bottom, there are different kinds of terminals, rounded ends, serifed ends, different kinds of serifs, cuts, horns, no terminals at all, slab serifs, and so on. And so these can be put together in various combinations to create different decorated letter forms. And the amount that they vary from the norm can also be adjusted with these sliders. The second typeface, which I commissioned, was a serif text face. And this starts to show the way in which type design can be done in a different way that is designing with variations in mind from the start. So the typeface starts with 4 different kinds of axes variation. Axis number 1 and number 3 are kind of a pair. You see axis 1, only the sides, sides of the letter form are changing in their width. And in number 3, only the contrast at the tops of the letters and the bottom is changing. And then in illustrations 2 and 3, again a pair, you see that the stroke width remains the same, but the width of the letter is varying. And in number 4, you see that only the height is varying. Those kind of parametric weight and width axes can be multiplied, and with a few other axes, they allow a kind of blended axis to be developed. So here again is the Axis Praxis website, and we can install a set of web fonts, variable web fonts, into the page here, and then select Amstelbar. And so you can see that we have the para width and para weight axis that are only adjusting these single kind of isolated variables. And then the optical size axis is going to vary several of those parametric axes at the same time. So as we move it towards a very large display style, you see that the contrast is reduced, the width is reduced. And as we go down to the very smallest optical size, you can see there that the X height increases slightly. So this combination of parameters produces optical axis. And that method of blending can also be used to create grades, where the weight changes, but the metrics of the letters do not. And the full details of this approach are explained in Type Network's announcement. The Axis Praxis website allows you to play around with various different web fonts with the variable font technology. But if you try it out, you may find that your web browser does not yet support this technology. You need to get the bleeding edge versions of browsers for this to work. For Chrome, that's known as Google Chrome Canary. And when you download Chrome Canary, you have to go to an experimental flags page and enable the experimental web platform features for this to work. Firefox, you can download the Firefox. For type designers, there's a font make toolset which can generate these variable fonts, and it can use sources in the glyphs format or the UFO format. And a recently announced UFO font editor is TrueFont that can be used with FontMake to make variable fonts. To keep track of the latest developments of this new technology, there are 2 Twitter accounts which I can recommend. The first is the Variable Fonts account by Nick Sherman, and the second is the Axis Praxis Twitter account by Lawrence Penny. These are updated weekly with all the latest developments, and so I encourage you to follow them. Finally, if you wanted to contact me to discuss any of this, you can tweet to @GoogleFonts. Thank you.
Thank you, speakers. And now I cordially invite Mr. Dave Grosselin to accept this token of appreciation. on behalf of the organizing committee. Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Aksharaya is an ode to Indian letter forms by a group of letter-conscious people. It is an ever-growing organization of designers, educators, researchers, and students who are driven by a passion for Indian scripts, calligraphy, and typography. Aksharaya organized a collaborative calligraphy camp in December last year and invited calligraphers all over India with different age groups practicing different scripts. The video documentation you will witness in a while is about Aksharaya calligraphy workshop. Can we have the video, please?
We are extremely excited that we have Narayan Fattatiri, Palo sir, Prabhu Nagarwar, Kulkarni, Kalpesh Gosavi, Hemant Nikhil Afre, Professor Shubhanand Zog, Rajuji, Maithili, Sarang Kulkarni, Parmeshwar Raju here with us in this Akshara camp. Can you please tell us about the entire journey in a nutshell?
It started with my calligraphy classes in the art school,
Okay.
where Professor S.V. Pense taught me how to write the pothi. And then he taught me the grammar of the Devanagari script.
माझं अक्षर लहानपण इतकं काही खास नव्हतं. तर माझ्या आईने मला मारून मारून अक्षर सुधारण्यासाठी वगैरे प्रयत्न केले बरेच. अक्षरांमध्ये गोडी वाटू लागली. मग ते अगदी गाडीच्या धुळीवर बोटाने असा अँगल करून देवनागरीचा अँगल करून अक्षर लिहिण्यापासून तिथून ती सुरुवात झाली असं म्हणायला हरकत नाही.
I inherited good handwriting from my father. I laid my hands on a book of calligraphy. It was called Contemporary Calligraphy. I started copying the works of grandmasters.
Okay.
या सगळ्या अक्षर किंवा चित्रकलेच्या प्रेमामुळे अभ्यासावर लक्ष कमी, 10वीत नापास. कोल्हापूरला गेलो की कोल्हापूरला साईनबोर्ड बघणं, अक्षरं बघणं, लाकडी अक्षरं बघणं, एक अक्षर जवळ 8 फुटाचं करणं.
पालव सरांचा वर्कशॉप अटेंड केला. मला वाटतं खरं त्या क्षणी मला असं जाणीव झाली की मी हे करू शकतो.
When studying, I am working in a publication called Kala Kaumudi. I get 2 days to write about 30-40 titles.
When I took up graphic design in 3rd semester, we are taught a week-long duration of calligraphy. The first exhibition of 3 calligraphers. That is how I started.
Okay.
Over a period of time, I thought I need to have an image added to the pothi, which would also be of a similar style. And I slowly stopped writing and I started doing the pictorial part of calligraphy.
कॅलिग्राफी पेपरवर पुरती मर्यादित नाही तर ती स्क्रीनवर सुद्धा अक्षरं तितकीच गोड आणि मजेदार दिसतात. आणि तिथून मग टाईप डिझाईनची जर्नी सुरू झाली.
त्या लिपीबद्दलच्या अवेअरनेस म्हणा किंवा जाणीव ही अगदी थोड्या ठिकाणी दडली होती, म्हणजे थोड्या ठिकाणी. आणि आपण आता त्याला तोच विषय घेतलाय तर मग अगदी थोडक्यात का काम करावं.
We were doing some documentation of Indian calligraphers and lettering artists, so even that had helped us to gain a different kind of a vision that how different people are working.
So I started my own blog and I started posting those little bit of my whatever the experiments and examples, and I got a very good response to that.
I always had 2 aspects when I was working. One was when I'm in the process of writing. And one was when I was evaluating what I've done. These 2 personalities are very, very different.
ते रघु एक्झॅक्टली माणूस काय आहे किंवा त्या माणसाबद्दल त्याचा अभ्यास काय आणि काय बघण्याची पद्धत काय आहे, कुठली गोष्ट कशा पद्धतीने बघितली पाहिजे, मग ती वाचण्यापासून ती उच्चारण्यापासून आणि मग ती उच्चारण्यानंतर ती लिहिण्यापर्यंत असा जो एक प्रवास त्यांच्याकडनं बघता आला.
कदाचित there is a process. As of now, I'm not aware of that process.
भारतीय सुलेखन कला ही फक्त सुंदर दिसण्याकरता नाहीये. सुंदर शब्द आहेत पण त्याच्या मागे त्याचा अर्थ जो मोठा आहे तो अर्थ त्या व्हिज्युअल सेन्स मध्ये कशा पद्धतीने मांडता येतो.
एक अक्षर सुंदर असून उपयोगाचं नसतं, तो एकत्रित लिहिलेलं सुंदर किंवा टाईप केलेलं सुंदर दिसायला पाहिजे. कसं पलाचा कॉन्जंक्ट येईल तेव्हा ही मात्रा नाही तर मला 26वी मात्रा हवी जी त्या कसं पलावरती लँड होईल असा मला प्रत्येक अक्षरासाठी रूल लिहावा लागतो. आणि मग फायनली डिझाईन केलेली अक्षरं आणि हे सगळं कोडिंग हे सगळं एकत्र करून तो तुमचा फॉन्ट बनतो.
I've also been asked how this is calligraphy. Quite frankly, I don't care.
आता कसं आता कॉम्प्युटरवर प्रचंड टाईप आले, तुम्हाला वाचनीयता बघायची असेल तर तुम्ही तिथेही बघू शकता.
I don't think that type design is restrictive at all, or that calligraphy is more expressive.
If you look at the curve, when it joins with some other letter, it creates a word.
Yes.
When the two words connects, it becomes a sentence. And when the sentence becomes, it's an essay.
Yes.
Eventually, it creates a language.
Yes.
And eventually, it creates a culture of the society.
Yes.
So that's the power of that small individual alphabet.
Yes.
दोन ओळी लिहायच्या असल्या तरी मला उभ्याने आडव्या रेषा लागतात. कारण ते आपण घेऊ आणि मग फोटोशॉपवर जाऊ आणि मग ते सरळ करू, मग ते लाईनला स्मूथिंग करू, नाही. मी बेसिक 10 वर्ष प्रॅक्टिस केली आणि 11व्या वर्षी क्लास घेतला.
From cleaning utensils to the cleaning, dusting of the house, it more helps in the free movement of the wrist, so it becomes easier to draw.
Yes.
साधं कुलदीपक लिहिताना सुद्धा कळच्या इकडे उकार कुठेतरी भलतीकडे लागलेला असतो. तर आपल्या लिप्यांमध्ये कोडिंग हे गरजेचं आहे.
मला वाटतं ही सगळी सुलेखन प्रक्रिया आहे, ही प्रोसेस आहे आणि या प्रोसेसमध्ये जर यायचं असेल तर तुम्हाला सगळ्या भाषा वाचता आल्या पाहिजेत, सगळ्या भाषा पाहता आल्या पाहिजेत, त्याचा इतिहास आपल्याला थोडासा माहिती असायला पाहिजे.
Because reading what happens is you are not seeing another person's image, you are developing your own image.
See, no Oriental calligrapher has become world calligrapher by doing Western calligraphy.
It is a very, very important resource which you can base your ideas upon. While I say this, I also definitely believe that it is not necessary that you are a calligrapher to be a type designer.
School students very interestingly come and see that.
Okay.
But the art students and other
design students are not interested. School students are interested.
Yeah.
मला असं वाटतं की आपल्या देशामध्ये जेवढ्या लिप्या आहेत तेवढे तरी कोर्सेस असावे. कारण प्रत्येक लिपीला शिकवणारा व्यक्ती लागणार.
वेगळ्या पद्धतीचा एक कोर्स तयार होईल.
भारतामध्ये जर पर्यटन करायचं असेल तर लिप्यांचं पर्यटन करण्याकरता लोकांनी यावं.
क्या बात आहे.
पण प्रत्येक राज्यामध्ये त्या भाषेचं एक छान म्युझियम असावं. हे कॅलेंडर किंवा हा वर्कशॉप आहे, तुम्हाला वाटतं केवळ आपण आज इथे गेला तो अख्ख्या देशभर बाबा लाखाच्या प्रती निघाव्यात आणि त्या लोकांपर्यंत जेव्हा जातील तेव्हा प्रत्येक भाषेची गोडी काय आहे ही लोकांना जास्त कळली. मला वाटतं ते अर्थात ह्या सगळ्या गोष्टी गव्हर्नमेंटने मला वाटतं केल्या पाहिजेत.
शासनाने
करायला पाहिजे.
बरोबर. ओके.
Government will
not work on it. So artists should work, or the designers only should work for that.
की आपल्यापेक्षा जास्त आपल्या देशातल्या लिप्यांवर बाहेरच्या देशांमध्ये काम सुरू आहे. म्हणजेच किती गरज आहे हे आपल्याला सिद्ध होतं त्यातनं. माझ्या मताप्रमाणे जगापेक्षा आता जास्त गरज भारतातल्या लिप्यांची जगाला आहे, जीची जाणीव भारताला हळूहळू होते.
बरोबर.
Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, with that note, we are concluding the presentations for this evening. Thank you, speakers. Moving on to the 11th session of this evening, a very important and a awaited session. I would like to call upon to the head table Session Co-Chair Dr. Sumantri Samarvikrama, Co-Chair Professor Sri Kumar, Co-Chair Professor Ravi Puaya, and also I cordially invite Dr. Ajanta Sen and Architect Situmina Ratnamalala, Head Department of Integrated Design, University of Moratuwa. Ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned, this is one of the most awaited sessions of this evening. Well, yes, we are moving for the award ceremony. Every year, the Typo Day logo is selected through a competition among students. To award this year winners, I cordially invite Professor Ravi Puaya to come to the center of the stage. Sixth runner-up, Neha GP, MIT Institute of Design, Pune, India. A round of applause for Ms. Neha. Rohan Hunje, fifth runners-up, IDC School of Design, IIT Bombay, India. Praganchit Karpe, fourth runners-up, Kerala, India. Third runners-up, Asmita Jalalil, Symbiosis Institute of Design, Pune, India. Second runners-up, Vibha Jindal, Government College of Art, Chandigarh, India. And the first runners-up, Amor Pulkade, SP Art and Commerce College, Pulgaon, India. And ladies and gentlemen, the winner of this year's Typo Day logo, Kiran Rajgopalan, National Institute of Design, Ahmedabad, India. The Typography Day poster competition held every year as part of the Typography Day Research Conference is presented this year under the theme Typography and Diversity. From many entries all across the globe, out of which 36 were chosen and are published here today. The artists and designers behind these works of art have strived to express the theme using a variety of techniques, both traditional and digital. The posters exemplify the true diversity that exists between type, fonts, and calligraphy. They are a celebration of the significance written language in each culture and the meanings even as simplest of elements such as a single letter communicates. The winners of this poster conference. From Iran, Abdul Rezan. Kaveh Afrey Arabin from Iran for the poster Bird of Bismillah 1 and 2. Hamid Nasser from Iran for the poster Prison. Mohammad Shahid from India for the poster Bollywood. Thank you, Professor. To give a wholesome experience to the participants, following individuals have worked through day and night tirelessly. This is the humble recognition for their tremendous efforts. To present these tokens of appreciation, I cordially invite Architect Situmila Ratnamalala, Head of Department of Integrated Design, University of Moratuwa. Professor J. V. Srikumar for the workshop Typography, Storytelling, Sound and Emotion. Ms. Ruchi Shah for the workshop title Tact Type. Ms. Pradnya Naika, workshop Tact Type. Professor Kumkum Nadik, workshop Diversity Type. Professor Santosh for Form, Play, Speak. Professor Ranjanan Dani, workshop Form, Play, Speak. Professor Ravi Puvaya, Type and Graphic Creative Combinatrix. Professor Ajanta Sen for Type and Graphic Creative Combinatrix. Azza Almadain, Arabic Lettering and Islamic Patterns. Mr. Sinathambi Shanmugaraja. Professor Savita Saraf, Kinetic Typography. Ms. Mansani Keni for Kinetic Typography. Antoine Abiad, Letters from Wires to Computers. Sarang Kulkarni, Creating Costume Logotypes for Identity Design. Nopur Kulkarni. Dave Crossland, Crafting Type Workshop. Priya Ravichandran and Robert Prattley for Introduction to Open Type. Ricky Hansen. For typographic GIF animations. Agung Radin for closure type. Achit Pallav, Diversity of Calligraphy. Professor Paresh Chowdhury for the next Toilet Science Alternative Typography with Cultural Diversity. And also I invite the winners of the quiz held yesterday, the three teams, Sir J.J. Institute of Arts, Mumbai, Academy of Design, Sri Lanka, University of Moritua. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, next we are moving on to one of the important segments of this evening. In recognition of the immense contribution towards uplifting Sinhala typography, a special award of honor is presented today to a special individual. To do the honors, I kindly invite the conference co-chair, Dr. Sumantri Samaravikrama. Also, I invite Professor Ravi Puvaya, Professor Sri Kumar, and Dr. Ajanta Sen, and architect Situmina Ratnamalala to come to the middle of the stage.
It is my great honor and pleasure to introduce Mr. Pushpananda Ekanayaka, who had been felicitating the digital typography for Sri Lankan publishing industry over 18 years, producing a collection of nearly 40 Sinhala fonts. Mr. Pushpananda studied at Dharmaraja College, Kandy. It was where he first began to lay the foundation for his career of passion, which is letter crafting. Almost all event posters, notices, magazine covers at his school were prepared by him. With this strong practice and interested passion, he made himself a lettering artist. After completing his school career, he started his occupation as a lettering artist at Phoenix Advertising. Then, in 1982, he moved to work at the State Television Corporation, which is the Rupavahini Corporation. While he was working at Rupavahini Corporation, he came up with some of the iconic drawing titles of the era, namely Kadulla, Allalanga Walauwa. Moreover, he created the first title, including the titles for the first news broadcast at the Rupavahini Corporation. In 1984, he left the Rupavahini Corporation and started his career as a freelance commercial artist. In this period, he worked with many new typesetting techniques and technologies of the time. His sense of crafting letters in the technique of phototypesetting, he was positioned as a unique asset to the publishing industry of that era. With the introduction of the Mac to Sri Lanka, the laser printer and the digital typography in the 1980s, lettering artists became irrelevant to the industry. Yet, Pushpananda managed to push into the digital era with a self-study on the digital typemaking technology. It was during this time that technically savvy engineers were making fonts for Sinhala. Pushpananda was forcing on bringing the richness of lettering culture into digital typography. In 1994, he brought himself his first Mac computer and started drawing fonts for his freelance design work. It was one of his friends who gave him a copy of the Fontographer 1.4, and the manual of Fontographer was a photocopy. In 1999, he had a collection of 12 fonts, and it was published under his brand name Font Master Sinhala Font Collection, or FM fonts as we all know it. It consists of 14 fonts that covered all kinds of basic Sinhala typographic needs. In 1999, he set up his own typesetting business, providing services to demonstrate the use of Sinhala digital typography and typesetting. This initiated the Sinhala publishing industry and the visual design industry to use FM fonts such as FM Abaya, FM Malithi, FM Bundimuthi, and FM Gamono. In 2006, he launched a letter collection called Visituru Collection. Since the launch of the first font collection, he worked with the international brands to create Sinhala font, Sinhala word marks, brand logos. Also, he has released 2 more collections of Sinhala fonts. Apart from creating fonts, his company provides software solutions for the publishing industry. Pushpananda practiced drawing regularly, and also he writes and talks about changes of Sinhala digital typography and its future. He has published a short story book, a compilation of stories from his time at the boarding school at Dharma Raja College, Kandy. In 2015, Pushpananda took another jump into the latest development of digital typography, web fonts. With support from Google, he collaborated with a group of type designers at Muniac to release his most popular Sinhala fonts under Open Fonts license. His humble personality has sustained different technological transactions of craft and business of typography and type making. He stands as an iconic character, and an inspiration for the new generation of type designers and type lovers of this island. This is a tribute to the immense body of work by Mr. Pushpananda Ekanayaka, produced during his 5-decade-long career, and most importantly, a recognition of his continuous contribution towards the field of typography. Mr. Pushpananda, I invite you to come forward. Mr. Ekanayaka, I would like you to take the stage.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I am thanking you for the decision to give me the prestige of this felicitation. And my special thanks goes to Dr. Sumantri Samaravikrama. Some people like me are involved this subject practically, but she has put an effort to give an educational value to this subject after doing proper research on typography in our country. I think you have received a valuable knowledge on this subject during these 3 days. Today, on this final occasion, I would like to share some of my experience with you and merely tell you about typography. I am a person who creates fonts today and who has been doing typography for last 5 decades. During 60s, I wrote letters on slate with a slate stick. During 70s, I used pencil and pen on paper. During 80s, it was paintbrush used with Indian ink and poster colors. And since 90s, I used computer. I bought my first computer in 1994 and launched my first single font package in 1998, second in 2006, and the third in 2014. My creations could be seen all around our country by 2010. Now it's 2017. Now I can see my creations no matter where I go in Sri Lanka. When I switch on the television, I can see my fonts on it. If I take a newspaper, I have to read it with my fonts. All school children can see my fonts in all their textbooks, reports, notices, etc. In all Sinhala books, including novels, poems, religious books, or short stories, I have to read them with my own fonts. When I go to a supermarket or a grocery, I can see my fonts all around, in different colors, with different effects. They use my fonts for all packing material. If you have a packet of salt in your home, or a packet of chili powder, or a packet of sugar, you can see my various fonts on them. The signboards of shops, posters on walls, large-scale commercial advertisements, and banners, you can see my creations there. Is it only in the city? No. As you walk on a rural road in a village area in this country, and you can see my fonts in a death notice pasted on a utility pole. In the letterhead of the President of our country, you can see my fonts on it. In the Prime Minister's New Year greeting card, or in the Gazette or Hansard, you can see my creations. Where is it missing? Even if I go to a public toilet in this country, I can see my fonts there too. On the entrance door, or the dustbin, or the security person's badge, anyway, everywhere. When I went 3 kilometers inside the Horton Plains, in our hill country, in the uninhabited place, I could see the printed sign marked Baker's Falls with an arrow, and it had my fonts. But my face is not in that jungle, or in this city, or anywhere. Nobody knows me. My satisfaction relies on the fact that all people use my fonts for their creations. It's a lifetime fulfillment. It never ends. What I have to say you all is that achieve a lifetime satisfaction like me be fascinated about this subject. This is typography. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It is indeed an honor. Ladies and gentlemen, even though we have come to the end of a successful conference, these efforts will be continued throughout with much more enthusiasm and spirit. Akura is one such initiative taken up by an enthusiastic set of individuals to extend the discussion of typography and type making. Now I call upon Mr. Pathum Egadavatta to present Akura to this audience.
Hi, I'm here representing a lot of people, and I'm speaking for a lot of people. That's not a good thing often. But today, like last 2 days, actually we saw some of the great work and things done in Sri Lanka as well as in the region as well as internationally in regard to typography, type design and visual culture. This is an exciting time to be in Sri Lanka. The businesses are growing, the new opportunities are coming, and things have been never this much interesting in my lifetime at least. There has been always movements in Sri Lanka as well as in the world as a reaction or as a reaction and also as a solution to certain things that you face. If you look at the printed letter of Sri Lanka, from the Dutch press to the missionary presses to the digital typography, we have seen a lot of people collaborating together and working together to do certain things. If you look at the certain history or in the 80s and the recent history, we have seen the Sri Lankan Sinhala Unicode movement, Lanka Linux Users Group, Colombo University Language Research Center as per institutes, and also Mr. Pushpanand and Mr. Professor Gihan Dias, personalities like this, working towards advancement of digital typography and technology in different areas. So I think this is the time to collaborate and bring everybody together and maybe kind of have a name and a face on it and try to get more people interested and involved in the passion of letters. So we are going to have a meeting and then we'll see what we can do. So that's the place and the venue. If you're interested, you can come along. Thank you.
Thank you, Pathum. To deliver the vote of thanks, I now invite Dr. Sumantri Samaravikrama.
Well, I would like to start by saying thank you to the IDC team, IIT Bombay, for giving us the opportunity to host this event. Special thanks goes out to Professor Ravi Povaya and his team, Professor Sri, Professor Santosh, Professor Udaya, Dr. Ajanta, and all the others from IDC, INDES, and Aksharaya. I fell in love with typography at my first ever typography day in 2011 at NID Ahmedabad. Ever since then, I had been attending Typo Days, and I had this dream of bringing Typo Day to Sri Lanka. I simply wanted to tell everyone how vast this subject is, and I knew Sri Lanka needed it. So thank you again for making it happen. To you, the audience, the speakers, the competition participants, the winners, the workshop facilitators, the volunteers. A special thanks to Jerry, who came all the way from the UK, Professor Gihan from our university, the vision speakers, Russell Miranda and Pete Almeida. Thank you. My gratitude goes to my head, Architect Situmini Ratnamalala, head of the Department of Integrated Design, for trusting me and believing I could do it. Can I see you? I can't. Okay. So thank you for your continuous support for this event. It's greatly valued. And at this moment, I also like to thank the VC, the Dean, and all the UOM University administration. I want to say a big thank you to my colleagues, the staff members from the Department of Integrated Design. You never said no. Thank you. Always supportive, so thank you. Architect Sagara for the exhibition space. Can I see the faces? I need all of you all to see the faces. Okay, so there's Prabhat for the signage, the AV, and the ambience. Prabhat? Inoka for coordinating the workshops. Architect Prasanna for the university arrangements. Dilshani for the meals coordination. She's the one who gave you the best food. Ruandika, whom you didn't see, but she was behind stage. The conference backstage, the award ceremony. Come. Udaya for the attire, the t-shirts. Aaron and Buddhika, the toughest job, transport, logistics, and all the scolding that you've been getting from a lot of people. Ruani, who's right now not here, but he's arranging the speaker's dinner and the invitations. I want to say thank you to her. Anushika for the opening ceremony. So that was our team. And more than that, there is another team who helped, the technical team of UOM. There is Lakmal, Kanchana, Pavitra, Ranga, Isuru. Some of them are behind. There is Nandita, Chandima, Sunet, Rohana, Dulan, Harsha, and Darshanam. Okay, the name all of you are familiar, who had been actually the driving force, Nipuni Siambalapitiya. A big thank you. To her team, Nilukshi and all the others. Pathum, you are not forgotten. Thank you so much. I just want to tell you, we made it. And the sponsors, all this was possible because of you all. So, starting with Google, Dave, URW++, Robert, Peter, Egg Type, Font Lab, Muniac, Universal Trust, Animate, Print Care, Dialogue, Sri Lankan Airs, Walkers Tours, Maliban, and Pick Me. Well, last but not least, the students who brought color to this event. My design team, can you stand up? The volunteers, the student team, and the usherers, not forgetting the compeers. Thank you. And thank you so much for being here and making it possible. Good night.
On behalf of the Typo Day, I want to say a big thank you to Sumantri. And will the volunteers come on stage, Nipuni? Yeah, just come on stage, we'll take a photograph. All the volunteers. Come, come.
Can we also have the staff of DID? If there are any volunteers outside, they can come up. The speakers as well? No? Okay, whole of the organizing committee. Come. You have to come. Khatum? Ask Khatum to come. Khatum? Yeah, there is a camera.
Thank you everyone, and thank you to all participants. This brings us to the end of 3 successful days of Typo Day 2017. While wishing you a very good evening, kindly stand up for the national anthem. Thank you. Thank you very much and have a pleasant evening.